Stocktwits crew, good morning and happy Thursday. Hope everybody's having a great morning so far. It was a bit of a crazy night. We had plenty of earnings going on. We're gonna cover all that this morning and get into it. But Shy, little bit of a nothing burger on some of those earnings, huh? That we were seeing. I'm interested to see how things kind of go into next week and into the end of this week. But how we feeling about the morning?
I mean, the Nvidia was a nothing burger, but
Yeah.
you see that Snowflake up 14%
Hey,
pre-market.
hey, Shy's a happy camper today, ladies and gentlemen. If you can't tell, look at that. I didn't
I
even look at the chart. I knew it was up, but the chart is looking great. How are we feeling about that?
I mean, dude, listen, like my fiance needed to gut check me on my ego yesterday because my head was getting so freaking big because entering the year, I called out three names that are going to go through market re-rating. First, Unity. Look at their chart this year. Second, DigitalOcean. Look at their chart this year. Third was Snowflake. Three for three. Called it a three-peats. So as of right now, Snowflake is going through a re-rating, and people keep asking themselves like, why are they up 14%? Like it was they beat across the board, and this is one of those names where like they've been other names in this space where it just it didn't catch a bid like this. It's because it's trading at 40 times, 45 times their free cash flow this upcoming year. And I think they're showing signs of whoa. Like last quarter, they showed signs that AI isn't cannibalizing them as a data warehouse company. They're becoming like actually a stage two AI winner. And this was the back to back print of proving that. The clear B on the top line, 28% top line growth. You saw their um, RPO also increased 33%. I think you're seeing a lot of the numbers in the report. I'm missing it right now, but showed that they're going to be growing at 28% this year, this upcoming fiscal year. 28%. And right now they're guiding for the streets expecting 24 to 25%. And their Q1 guide was at 23% year over year growth. So they're clearly still sandbagging. But if you look under the hood, every single metric is showing it's going to be growing at least 28% this upcoming year. And most likely, it might even touch 30%. If that's the case with 43% free cash flow margins that they just produced last quarter, like I think don't expect that for the full year, but let's just expect 30% free cash flow margins potentially. That's a Rule 40 score of 60. Right now, it's getting traded at 45 times free cash flow multiple. That's a massive disconnect when you see a name like Palantir trading at 120 times. You're seeing Cloudflare trading at 110 times EBITDA multiple. You're seeing Datadog, which has a much lower ceiling than Snowflake, trading at 45 times. This deserves a complete re-rating, and I think you're seeing that process take place right now. So fundamentally, they are killing it. Technically speaking, they are breaking out. Like they look like they want to break out this multi-year long base. It's going to be a runner if it can break through 190, and it looks like it's like that's the resistance right now pre-market, which is really funny because that is the level it needs to break out. If it does, I think 250 to 300, and I don't know when that's going to occur because this was a good print, but the momentum's building. They're going to have that firework type of earnings, and they're monetizing AI workloads. A lot of companies out there can't say they're doing that. Snowflake is one of those few that are doing that right now. Immediate beneficiary, and it's because of the consumption model. They're printing cash on data consumption. It is going to only increase, and that announcement with OpenAI is going to be essentially infused into their Cortex AI. That was a validator because, like, say what you say want about Sam Altman, like OpenAI is kind of the OG of LLMs. Like they started the whole thing, and that's a massive stamp of approval. And they expand their relationship with Microsoft as well because of this OpenAI infusion into Cortex AI, and just validates them as like, they're going to be the backbone of AI enterprise. Like they're just going to, and you're seeing the customers spending more. The customers that spend more than $1 million really pick up to 20. I think high 28%, 27, 28%. RPO's just remaining pricing obligation is so strong. Net, the only caveat I will say is net dollar retention (NRR) plateaued a bit. It's not increasing like I thought it would. It's at 126%. I kind of want that towards 130%. And what does NRR mean? It means even those existing customers they currently have right now, they're spending 26% more money year over year. That's like data consumption model. So like even if let's just say they require no new customers for the rest of the year, which is again, that won't happen. But let's just say they just don't. They're still going to grow 26% top line just from the existing customers alone. That's why it's such an impressive number. And that's why I think they're going to clearly beat that 24 to 25% analyst target that they have on the street for this upcoming year in growth. And you're seeing the margins also stabilize because you saw that massive EPS B and that free cash flow margin B. It's just everything's going well for Snowflake and it's going through a rating. Let's hope it's 6. If it doesn't, I think this name has to be on a lot of people's radar if you want to create that AI bucket.
Yeah, I love it, Shy. Good stuff there. I mean, you've been preaching about it, man, and just technically looking at the chart too. When I look at the higher time frames, looking at the weekly, we're coming right into that $200, and we're kind of over this. I have a 50% retracement of this like an entire range we've been trading in, and we're over that. So all looking good there. I would like to see this push into like that 211, 212 area. That's where I would see like next big rejection, at least on my charts when I look at a weekly. But looking good, man. Love to see it. We had plenty of other earnings going on as well. Obviously, Nvidia was a big one. They came out with a double beat, as I'm sure most people, anticipated. It was just really about what happens with the reaction from investors, right? And to be honest, not much of a reaction when you look at the chart. It's pretty sideways, kind of, I guess, up as of now, but just not really a whole lot going on there. A little bit more of a nothing burger on the charts, but I'm sure, I mean, generally, anytime we've seen a nothing burger, Shy, I'm sure you can agree when we look back at the charts. I mean, if we see a nothing burger on earnings, we generally get some moves the next few days or the following week, right? So that's what I'd be expecting on Nvidia. I'm not sure what your thoughts are with the print that came out in the earnings call.
I didn't love it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was good enough to stomach to relieve the heartburn the market had, but also like at the end of the day, I think the margins were lighter than expected. But you heard the commentary on the call that it's gonna reaccelerate to 75% again in the second half of this year, and I think they blame something about the reason they got it to 71% this upcoming quarter wasn't a pricing power reduction or any kind of moat reduction. It was just like they had so many products happening that they at the same time that it hurt the margins a bit. And also I think we got lots of confirmation that Blackwell is fully ramping up, and it's going to be like it's just everything's going really well with Blackwell. So I think those are the two things that were like really causing a lot of like FUD in this name was Blackwell demand. How's that doing? They made commentary it's fully ramping up. Demand is exceeding supply, and also margins. And then you got confirmation it's going to return to 75% second half of this year. And the weakness in the near term was based on a one-offs. I also think that we got more confirmation on why like those custom silicon chips that the hyperscalers are making, it's not even close to the quality that they Nvidia has in their own. So that was like nice to see. And they also made some commentary on DeepSeek, and it reaffirms like everything I've been saying. What people, a lot of like the people on the show has been saying as well, where it's only going to increase the demand for AI, and that's going to succeed. That tailwind's going to succeed the headwind of potentially diminishing the margins on their GPU business. And this also feeds into my point. You can't view Nvidia as a hardware company anymore. It's just not. It's a full-on ecosystem in the new digital economy. So if one component of that ecosystem might struggle, another component of it is going to exceed that via CUDA platform, their software component. It's just like that they've cemented themselves into permanence. So like I think any hardware FUD you see is just I my eyes roll because like it's just not a hardware company anymore. It's just like for Tesla, like everyone keeps bashing
When you
them
see
for their
EV sales down, it's like, oh, okay, like who cares, honestly?
right? It's just like the
I don't
dumbest
even
thing
care.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's just so dumb. It's like
Well, I think that's the key, Shai, is when we have those opportunities and finding those companies out of the bunch, right? Like Nvidia is that one, that's really that's what you're talking about, right? One side of the company maybe ain't doing so good, the other side can pick it up a bit. So I think finding those companies as longer term investments is definitely key, because you're not putting your investment solely on one moat. You know what I mean? This has multiple reasons to do well. So I love that. And yeah, just going through some of the bullish things. Data center revenue for fiscal year 2025 more than doubled year on year, driven by strong demand from the Blackwell GPU. Blackwell sales exceeded expectations, representing the fastest product ramp in company history, demonstrating significant market demand for the new architecture. The company projects significant sequential growth in both data center and gaming in Q1, indicating strong demand across key product segments and continued growth potential. Gross margins were expected to be in the low 70s initially due to the ramp up of the Blackwell architecture, impacting profitability in the near term. That's something again, you're not going to worry about that, right? Like Shay was just talking about. That's not something in the long term that I'd be too worried about. And then while Q1 revenue is projected to increase, the company acknowledges that the U.S. market may need to shoulder increased responsibility if other regions face regulatory challenges. Despite strong demand, the supply chain complexities involved in producing the GP200 system with its 1.5 million components and multiple configurations might present ongoing challenges and slow down the growth trajectory in the near term. So really good stuff there. Make sure you guys are checking out those recaps, the AI summaries on Stocktwits. Those are there for you. Just looking through the data this morning, we did have some data come out. GDP came out perfectly in line. The forecast was 2.3. The previous was 2.3. It came out at 2.3. Something that is a little interesting to me that I was kind of shocked about was unemployment actually came out higher than expected. Not super high, I guess, but 20,000 higher. It was expected to be 222. Came out at 242. You got any thoughts on that, Shay?
I just don't think the market cares about data as much
I
right now.
know. Yeah, it's not really a factor right now, I feel like.
I think like a huge sigh of relief got released on Nvidia's earnings yesterday. I think it feels like a lot of people are gonna be hungover a bit today because like they were just stressing all week ahead of the Nvidia print. Like, are they gonna hold the market? Or are they gonna lead it to maybe a SPY hitting 570? Like, I think it was a good enough print to let the party go on. But I don't know. I still think big tech and semiconductors, besides certain semiconductor names, is going to be dead money this year. I think it's one of those investment years. So we'll see what the market reacts to it. I mean, Nvidia, I'm watching them at the open clearly, guys. But the level for me that they need to stay above is 129. Like that's their 200-day moving average or 40-week SMA I'm using. So like that's the level that they need to maintain. And like if we see a strong bid today, like maybe it hits 140 and like we see it retested all-time high and it gets new highs, that's my risk barometer of like, oh, okay, market's going to be roaring a bit and playing catch up. But if we see sell off right away and there's like instant breakthrough on that 129 level, and I'm like, oof, that means that we're probably going to retest 105 on Nvidia. And if that occurs, I think the market's going to probably SPY is going to retest that 570, 575 level. I've been saying like I think it's going to retest it sometime this year.
Yeah, just looking at Nvidia, like I'm with you. I'm kind of in the same. I guess I'm a little higher time frame when it comes to like when I'm comfortable actually thinking this is going to go back to the highs. Like I think I need really like a daily close over that 140 to be honest, to really be like, okay, I think this is going to the highs now. Because otherwise, I mean, even with the earnings, like just earnings aside, looking at the chart on the daily, I'm not super convinced that we're ripping from this spot. But today can change that, right? Like my thoughts can change very quickly. But just as of now, I would expect rejection unless we just get aggressive buying up and through like above 137.90. I'm like, all right. I mean, the daily's telling me a little bit different now, but I expect rejection until I see, I guess, aggression through that, right? But we'll see. I do bump it up to a weekly, and I will say it is looking strong still off of those lows, and this pullback relative to the strength off the lows definitely looks, I mean, it looks weaker on the downside. So there's that on a bit of a higher time frame as well. But yeah, I'm not too sure quite yet.
I will say like everything I'm saying, I'm adding a but.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
that's the first time for an Nvidia earnings. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's getting noisier and noisier. It's a great company. I'm not saying it's not. It's undervalued. If you look at their earnings multiple, it's miles cheaper than Apple, Microsoft. Like it's way undervalued to compare other Mac 7 names. But these aren't clean beats anymore. And there's a lot of hope that
Not like they used to be.
Blackwell, yeah, it's a lot of hope that Blackwell is gonna bring back the good old days, and that absolutely might be the case. But like a lot of my commentary on Nvidia is it closes with a but, and that's a new thing, and that's something that needs to be called out.
Yeah, I'm with you. We had IonQ earnings as well, which as of now, kind of looking like a nothing burger, a bit down, I guess. Got to bounce back and is really just going sideways now. But it looks like they had a beat on revenue, almost 14%, but missed on EPS. I don't know if this is correct on my charts, but 675% miss on EPS. I don't know if that's
It
a
was.
glitch.
No, it
Jeez.
was. I mean,
Wild. But like, obviously it didn't affect things too much. I mean, we got a down move, but recovered majority of it. So curious on your thoughts on IonQ Shy, because I know this is a name you like. How was that earnings and how are we feeling about it for the future here?
yeah, I mean, quantum, guys. Quantum is not a quarter to quarter story. It is a decade long theme, and you're seeing some spotlight on how quantum is here and it's here to stay, and it's not a distant dream. Like it's actually knocking on the door, and you're seeing names like Google with Willow, Microsoft with oh my God, Majorana. I don't even know how you say that one.
I
Microsoft
don't know.
released it, and Amazon stepped in with like Osli just this morning. So like these aren't like just random like projects that they're doing. They're clearly signals of quantum is the next frontier after AI. And my thought process of how IonQ fits in that isn't because they missed on their EPS today. Isn't because they're having a C-suite exodus, which is not something you like to see. My thing is always about tech, 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 tech. I think that IonQ is not just becoming a random player in there in the space. I think they're doing. You're seeing their recent acquisitions with Keyprotect, ID Quantique. They acquired two new companies recently, and it's showing them exactly what their initiatives are going forward. It's not just building the hardware. It's not just uh, it's how did I say this? They're building the architect of the new quantum infrastructure. And I think a lot of the big tech names and even their competitors, like they're building blocks of, they're building, like having raw computational breakthroughs, but like IonQ is kind of following the Nvidia playbook a bit, where they're trying to build the quantum networking, the cryptography, and I think you're seeing like what Nvidia back in the AI days was doing a similar approach. Like Nvidia wasn't just building the GPUs, like I mentioned. Like they're not just a hardware company; they were building the entire AI tech stack, CUDA software to networking solutions like the Infinity Band. It allowed them to create this massive moat that allowed them to inner permanence and no cyclical risk. IonQ's kind of. I'm not saying IonQ's gonna be the next Nvidia, guys. Calm down. I'm not, but they're executing a similar strategy where they're trying to not just sell the hardware, they're trying to sell the entire platform that makes quantum computing viable for real world applications. And you're seeing with those two acquisitions recently. So they did do a $500 million offering with that EPS miss, with the C suite exodus. It's down 5% pre market. That I thought it would be in the teens. I thought that's a brutal, brutal narrative to try to get through on diluting shareholders, new CEO after an exodus of C-suite past couple years. It's down 5% pre-market. It's because there's not that many pure play quantum names out there right now, and I think the market's willing to digest some fumbles early in the story from corporate governance or management suites to just focusing on the tech. And the tech and their acquisitions are showing that they're building something far greater than just the quantum hardware. And if it does succeed and it becomes creating this quantum ecosystem, and quantum's a multi-trillion-dollar industry, this is dirt cheap, this valuation, but it's highly risky. Risk and reward is just whoa. I got in at $6, built an overweight position there. I haven't added in quite some time. I don't think I'm going to add unless it hits the low teens, mid teens, because I just don't have the urgency to. But if you don't have that quantum exposure and you want it in your portfolio, this is a name you need to monitor for these like massive dips because they're the tier one quantum play out there in the market. Clear tier one. You can get the exposure with the big tech. You can get the exposure with IBM, even Honeywell. But if you want pure quantum exposure with that owning the quantum ecosystem like that, that's a 10, 20x potential for IonQ. If they actually solve it, then it's worth the risk. But in the near term, I don't think it's going to catch a bid. You have a new CEO. I think that $500 million offering is off-putting. Their backlog was a beat as a slight tick up, but it was not as explosive as I thought. And you're seeing how capital intensive they're still in for R&D. Like it's just you have to have a long leash in this name, but I think don't focus on the EPS uh, earnings miss. To be honest, like it's just focus on the tech and what they're actually doing with that tech, and they're doing everything I want to see in a company like IonQ at this early stage of quantum.
Yeah, we also got Rocket Lab earnings coming up
Ugh.
tomorrow. Some people in the chat were
Today,
wondering about that. Or yeah, sorry, today. Got my days backwards. Yeah, tonight. So Shy, I know that's a name that you're always looking at. Right now, just looking at the chart, getting kind of a run up into the earnings, which is looking good off the lows. But obviously, earnings can change that. I'm curious on your thoughts, especially because getting some downside lately. But I mean, when you bump up the time frame, it doesn't look too bad relative to how this thing's been moving to the upside. So what are we thinking here? I mean, we're coming. Actually, I just realized on that weekly, we just back tested previous all-time highs and are seeing some buying off of those right before earnings here. So is that a little bit of a tell, or what are we feeling for tonight?
I mean, again, space is just not a quarter to quarter story. It's a decade long theme. Space economy is the next frontier after quantum and AI. Like those are the three main frontiers. Um, I had luckily for me, like I got in the fours overweight position, so like I'm just sitting. I also trimmed half of it. I think in the low 20s a while back, and now it's all profit. So like I'm not worried as much. I there's some FUD entering this print. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think there was a short reports that got released this week on it. Bleaker Street. Again, short reports are beneficial, but some are just absolutely BS. And like that was an absolute BS one because they're focusing on uh, the, the delay on their Neutron timeline, which is again their mid-market or mid-size launching um, growth lane. That's supposed to be happening this year. They're saying it might slip into next year, maybe even 2027. If that does happen, like Rocket Lab is going to take a major hit because that is a moneymaker for them. That's going to be a big move. That's a big tailwind for them. That's caused a lot of the juice in this 5x you've seen in the stock. However, I've seen no signs of that there's going to be a 2 year delay, like zero signs. And Peter Beck, like the CEO, founder of Rocket Lab, is one of the brightest minds in the whole space economy industry to the point where he was on an HBO show when they were talking about space. Like he's one of the frontiers of the space economy, and he's in the lab every single day doing what he does to to fulfill his vision for Rocket Lab. Like I think he's everything I want in a CEO, and he's very transparent. Like he doesn't BS. I've seen no signs of there's going to be any delay. So like that's BS. Part two is they're forgetting about what 70% of Rocket Lab's revenue isn't just launching launches anymore. It's their space systems division. They're like creating this full end-to-end um they're becoming a full-on space prime, and they're just not. That's why I think the market's re-rating them from like when I got in at fours, it was kind of a launching company with maybe some space systems, like the vision of like maybe they can be the full space prime. Now they got re-rated like they are. They're becoming the space logistics company of the future, and you're seeing that with their 70% of that revenue is outside of the launches. They're creating that ecosystem that you want. And again, just like quantum computing, there's only a handful of names that you can really get some pure play exposure, and that's high quality. Rock Lab is tier one. They're going to be the number two player in the space. Obviously, SpaceX is the clear king, but there's Trump still hasn't announced any kind of initiatives or space infrastructure projects, and that's going to come to light. Like the first buddy, Elon, he has Starlink and SpaceX. Do you not think that Trump's going to do some kind of helping him out with some funds going towards the space economy? He's absolutely going to do so. And when that occurs, high tide raises all boats, especially for the number two player who's going to be the FedEx of space. So this quarter might give you guys an opportunity to. I'm actually going to get into space. I'm going to be a lot more aggressive with Rocket Lab than IonQ on any dips. If Rocket Lab hits $15 this week from any kind of earnings quivers, I'm going to be adding my position, even though I got in at $4. Like I think this is going to be one of those bigger companies, like a mid cap company, and yeah, that's my take on it. So I think don't look into it too much. I want to see their space systems, like how that's going, because that's really their moats right now on becoming that space logistics company of the future. Commentary on Neutron would be great. Uh, Maybe some commentary on that short report if you want to do it. But yeah, it's gonna be a busy one, and we also have TMDX this afternoon. So like this is one of those weeks for me where I'm gonna have to have like a good drink, a stiff drink tomorrow because I'm exhausted.
Well, you're gonna have to have a drink next week too, because we got AVGO reporting, which they're also getting a little bit of a run up. I mean, eh. Oh yeah, I gotta zoom out. Yeah, off that gap up. Gosh, so we had that gap up on the last earnings, Shy. We've really held that move fairly well, to be honest. We tried to dip back into that gap momentarily, and bulls bought that back up off like the 50% retracement there. And we've really just been consolidating sideways. To me, this looks good, the way it's just kind of quiet going sideways after that last earnings. But obviously, earnings coming up next week can change things. Do you have any thoughts or projections for the earnings next week?
Yeah, I mean they're gonna do really well. You the what I mentioned to my subscribers this morning or last night, like one of the beneficiaries of their that Nvidia report was Broadcom and as well as Astera Labs, where you saw it was evident from Nvidia's like sequential decline in networking revenue. That means there's a shift that's happening towards Ethernet and AI networking. That's a that's benefiting Broadcom and Astera Labs because AI clusters are now requiring a lot more interconnected solutions. So that yesterday's report with that sequential decline in networking revenue showed that like AI infrastructure isn't just about GPUs anymore like it used to be. It's about the entire data pipeline, and that's why these names are like kind of positioned perfectly in that. So I do think this AI, this transition is still in early innings. So there could be a lot more upside when you see a lot of the hyperscalers scale out their AI workloads to optimize a lot more high speed data movements. These names are going to benefit. So I think that that's probably why you're going to see Broadcom catch a kind of a bid maybe entering their earnings report because we saw the sequential decline from Nvidia, and that's going to be directly towards something. It's Broadcom and as well as Astera Labs,
Yeah.
probably Marvell as well.
Yeah, Marvell. Are they reporting next week?
I don't know.
Oh yeah,
To
they
be
are. Day before AVGO. So they're reporting right before. I guess that'll be kind of nice for AVGO. You get to see what happens with Marvell first, you know. CrowdStrike too. Got a bunch next week.
oh my
On
god,
Best Buy,
CrowdStrike as well. You're kidding me.
Target. Yeah, we got a bunch. You better buckle up, brother.
I think next week might be the last week for my earnings. I think.
Yeah. After that, Oracle, Adobe. It seems to get much quieter though. Earnings season kind of wraps up there, but yeah, I mean, we really got through most of it. Nvidia was really I feel like the last big dog that everybody's been waiting for. Obviously, these other names we're talking about, AVGO, people are definitely watching, but you know, seeing all the memes and people talking about, will Nvidia save the market, holding up by a thread. I love those memes where it's like a castle. It's like a whole rock castle, and it's being held up by like one brick, and it's saying like the whole U.S. economy and Nvidia. I just love that shit. I think it's hilarious. And then
So
nothing happens. It's just, I honestly, that's exactly we should have expected that. We probably could have seen it too. I didn't even like really look at the options contracts in depth, but I'm sure if you just took a look at the options chain, you could have very easily seen that the probability for that happening was very high. I'm sure. I didn't really look at the contracts though, so 'cause I'm never looking at those options. We got the bell in a few minutes here. Anything you're watching going into the open, Shy, besides like
Tesla's right at
ooh,
their 200-day moving average. So 287, I think is their level. So this
she
is
be
one
getting
that
smoked.
it got faded 2% move in the last 10 minutes, like pre-market. I know it's 10 market.
Yeah, she's in a big spot for me. I I would like to see some sort of bounce before we get to 273. Or else I think, oh, there's that bell. Or else I think it's like 238s could come into play pretty quick as well. But we'll see. I just got to take it level by level. That's what I've been doing on Tesla. It's like, okay, we get to this level. We'll see if we get any aggression from the bulls, and we haven't seen that at all. Just continued downside over and over. So I'm just kind of taking it level by level. But I mean, nothing. If you're a long-term investor, in my opinion, I mean, all this is just you've been through this before. If you've been a long-term investor, this is nothing new with Tesla, and for me, like nothing to worry about in the long term. Obviously, short-term traders though, absolutely can be capitalizing on some of the short-term plays to the downside, or obviously, I understand people that might be in shorter-term trades that are getting out and maybe looking to reposition. So we're keeping eyes on that for sure. Tesla loves its Fridays though, so. See if we get anything spicy on Friday. The end of the week
So
here.
I'm looking right now at Nvidia. I'm just like staring at Nvidia. That's like my tell right now.
Taking a
on
little
market.
drop.
It's quivering.
Yeah, again, like what have we seen the past few times on Nvidia, right? When we haven't gotten I guess a crazy earnings, and it's usually we get that crazy move after, a few days after, if not the day after. So since we didn't move too much, I definitely want to see something nice happen on Nvidia. And if something's going to happen on Nvidia, probably going to move QQQ, NQ, and all that, right? So definitely want to be aware of that. NQ alone just looking pretty choppy this morning in the pre-market, leading into the open here. So I haven't not doing anything yet. I feel like the higher time frame too is just kind of choppy here. When I look at the hourly and 4 hour, we've hit these big lows on the daily chart, and since hitting those, those are like the shorter term bear targets that I had, and since we've hit those, market's just been a little quieter. I still think that any kind of significant bounce we get from here is just a retest to go lower. I know, I'm sorry, I'm being big bad bear, but it's just what I see in the chart, right? Yeah, my mind can be changed too very quickly if I see aggression, but as of now, I just don't have much reason to be higher time frame bullish. But it doesn't mean I can't play a bullish trade today. It's just a matter of, I think any trades we do get to the upside are really just going to be a setup to go lower here later. But again, Nvidia can change that, right? So we'll see. You got any more thoughts for the crew, Shy?
I'm like, there's too many things. There's too many names that are at really important levels right now, and that's like, I don't know what's. I'm like, which one to focus on?
I know, right?
Like I'm seeing Snowflake get rejected at 190 level. Don't love that.
Yeah.
Which is their 200-week SMA. So that's like something they needed to clear. I'm seeing Nvidia just like not looking what I want to look like, and it's fading again, but still above that 129 level. Tesla is bouncing where I needed it to bounce. That's nice to see. But I just think if Nvidia is feeding right now, it's not catching any kind of bid, everything's gonna go down with it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting. It's just interesting. I know it's like stupid to say, but like I'm just I don't know. Like Amazon is catching, like big tech is catching a bid. There's like this. There's a something disconnect happening. Big
Uber's
tech's catching
catching a bid too. Pretty nice here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And also IonQ is holding up really well. I really thought this was gonna that they're digesting a lot of like the negative news from yesterday, but I think that just shows like what I mentioned before. Like the tech is incredible. Like I really think their tech is like everything they're doing is strategically great. IWM is showing weakness. They're red, so there is a repositioning that's occurring right now from small caps to big tech. I think big tech's catching that bid, and Nvidia's just continue. Nvidia's I might be buying some downside on Nvidia. I'm looking though, waiting to see how it reacts to the 129 level.
Yeah, good stuff. Let's see. I was keeping an eye on Coinbase real quick before we wrap up. This name has just gotten wrecked over the past like week and a half, 2 weeks. Now we're getting into this big daily gap. At this point, I said it earlier on the show in the week, but at this point, if we can't get bought back up over that like 224 area, 223, with some aggression. I really think we're gonna come a lot lower, like right to that 150. I hate to say it, because I love coin, especially just like trading it. I'm not a big long-term investor in coin, but just as a like trading vehicle, it's fun. And I've been looking to actually catch some longs, but I haven't gotten the setup for it. We just gotten this continued downside. And I thought, the weekly range from, that January low, I guess, I thought we were going to hold that, or like break below it and then reclaim it. We're not doing that at the moment. So my next spot is kind of this 224. If we can, reclaim that and hold, I'm okay with it. But at this point, I'd rather see us come lower. I'd be even more bullish if we came lower, which would be like that 147, 150 area, which just sounds nasty when you look at where coin went. But that's what I got. That's what I'm thinking. But we'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I would like to see coin come back up. But again, coin's got problems. When they got Robinhood coming in the game and they're just dominating, I mean, coin's going to have problems. And that's just how it is, right? So,
Well, what's Bitcoin doing?
yeah, that too, right? That heavily
Bitcoin is looking
influences
ugly.
things, right? And
They're-
so when
yeah.
Bitcoin's looking ugly, coin's definitely going to follow sentiment there as well. Whereas Hood is not going to get affected by like Bitcoin prices, really. You know what I mean? So we retested. I thought we were going to come back into that 83, 321. That's a 50% retracement I have on Bitcoin. We hit that yesterday. So I took a small buy there, but I've just been really daily DCAing. I would love to see 73 and a half. And really, like, I got limit orders down there to be a little bit of a bigger buyer, but I'm looking for Bitcoin to continue coming in. We'll see. You buying up any bitty on the dip? Shy? Any
I'm
leverage
watching
Bitcoin
it
going
so
on?
Dude, I'm looking at the 5 minutes just closed on Nvidia. It wasn't as bad as I thought. It was worse, actually.
Oh,
Look at that 5 minute opening.
yeah, it
That
looks a
is
little
with
nasty.
volume and ugly. But it looks I'm looking at the 5 minute candle right now for following that. It's looking better, but guys, this is not what you want to see. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this.
All right. Well, Shy, if you don't have anything else for the crew, I think we're good to wrap up.
Yeah, good to wrap up. I do want to call out. We are going to be sprinkling the segment a bit more starting next week. I do think Jordan's still going to be part of the crew. His FAFO Fridays
Absolutely.
will be here. He's still going to sprinkle his charm and presence sometime in future during like the Monday to Thursdays. But we are going to have a new co-host. Her name is Katy Perry. She's not the singer, but she's just as her personality is incredible. I've watched a couple of her clips that she already does with Stocktwits, and she's freaking hilarious. So I think she's gonna add a really interesting element to the show starting next week. I'm looking forward to it, and I just want to call that out. Like Jordan and myself, we might not. The days are dwindling down on our combination of our both
I
our
know.
smiles, but Katie's
Don't
gonna be
worry,
here and she's gonna pick it
I'll
up.
come in here and there and make a presence with both of you on the show as well here and there. I'll make some time for you guys because I can't be alone from my crew for too long. I gotta see Shy, and I gotta get some of the plays, man. You always give me good ideas, so I gotta pick your brain every once in a while. Make sure I'm on the right track, right? But yeah, massively, definitely big shout out to all that. And should be exciting for the show coming into next week. I'm excited for the whole crew. And again, I will still be on FAFO Fridays. FAFO Fridays gonna be Ace the Kid and I think Michael Mouse probably continuously. So watch out for that. And yeah, get excited for it. I think it's gonna be good for the show and some fun segments. So appreciate the whole crew. Make sure you guys are subscribing and liking to the Stocktwits channel. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week and bright and early in the morning for FAFO Friday.